President Cyril Ramaphosa says the American business community must seize opportunities presented by the South African market. He has engaged with captains of industry in New York on the margins of UN General Assembly. Now, the president is focusing on the role of business in navigating a landscape for Africa's minerals. Global leaders have gathered at the UN headquarters to address the critical challenges and gaps in global governance. And President Ramaphosa says South Africa is open for business.
Much as we want to talk about critical minerals, I'm rather glad that there are various sectors that are represented in this round table, from telecommunications, banking, and product manufacturing, and a number of others, infrastructure. So we do welcome this opportunity, but also to inform you that South Africa is committed on its path to moving our economy forward, to contributing its fair share to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and adapting and mitigating the impacts of climate change. We are advancing a just energy transition plan that will guide our shift from fossil fuel energy production to renewable energy sources.
What they need is to be told what is it that they should do and what is it that they should not do. The mining sector was represented in the panel and had a lot to say. In fact, as some of the actions that we have proposed for catalyzing the implementation of the report is the establishment of a legacy fund to clean up the past of mining. And the mining sector had no challenges in the panel with all of that.
For more on this, let's speak to SABC News correspondent in New York, Sherwin Bryce-Peace. Sherwin, listening to the president earlier, focusing a lot more on minerals and how communities can be able to benefit here, and really just spending a lot of time talking about how South Africa is open for business, and it's time for some of the conversations then to be fast-tracked.
Yeah, and just to premise the meeting with business today, right? His focus has been on the United Nations, of course, the adoption of the Pact of the Future. He will address the General Assembly tomorrow. He will have a high-level meeting on the G20 later this week. But I would argue, Bongiwe, that today is the most important day for the South African delegation, because this is a day that is focused on the South African economy. We heard from the Minister for Trade, Industry and Competition, Parks Tau, who talked about the economy in South Africa having reached an inflection point, and an acknowledgement to the business community here that the runway is very short for this government of national unity to get it right. The president talked about the government of national unity, calling it the second miracle that we have put together, and he talked also about the importance of how the economy and moving South Africa's economy forward based on deregulation and creating an environment that is attractive to foreign direct investment in the mineral space is going to be catalytic for South Africa's economy if and when they do it right. Let me just give you a run through of what the president said. He said South Africa was committed to this path of moving the economy forward, limiting greenhouse gases and the impacts of climate change. He talked about the shift to fossil fuels, the shift to renewables, but also critically, Bongiwe, the importance of ensuring that beneficiation matters, that value add matters in terms of the value chain, for the source communities from whence these minerals will be extracted. He talked about the importance of social inclusion and economic opportunities for the communities, and that really is at the heart of what that discussion that is still going on in the hotel behind me, that the South African delegation is having with ministers. What is important is for them to attract investment, but investment that is going to have a value add and that is going to uplift communities from where those transition minerals are coming from. Understand also that as we move from fossil fuels to a renewable economy, there are key minerals that are going to be critical for a future in terms of artificial intelligence and robotics. The likes of chromium, the likes of lithium, the likes of cobalt. The list is quite long. South Africa has a number of these rare earth minerals that will be critical to this transition. How you then ensure that processing of those minerals, right? This notion of beneficiation happens at the source, at the communities from whence these minerals are extracted. There needs to be a value chain that is also localized. What you've seen historically is that companies come in, they extract the minerals, they take them and they process them in their own jurisdictions, then creating added benefit to their own economies. What the South Africans are saying here is that we need to ensure that we extract but also process before we ship things abroad, and that is going to create a value chain. He talked about how if Africa does this right, Bongiwe, the revenue generation will be some $24 billion, creating some 2.3 million jobs. Those are numbers that are critical to South Africa that seeks to address inequity in our country, particularly by creating jobs, given the high joblessness rate in South Africa currently, Bongiwe.
And certainly, Sherwin, I mean, listening to him saying that, some 30% of the world's proven critical mineral reserves are found in sub-Saharan Africa, and really speaking about how important these conversations are going to be going forward. But Sherwin, one wonders then, what else is on his agenda?
Right, so from the mineral conversation that's currently still ongoing, business leaders around that table are also providing their input, what they'd like to see the government do. But also very critically, we'll be moving, his convoy is right behind me over here, so we're waiting for the president to exit. We'll be moving downtown in Manhattan to the New York Stock Exchange. The president is expected to engage further with some business leaders at a round table downtown, but then also will then go to the New York Stock Exchange floor, engage with traders, understand what they are looking at, what their needs are, but then also we understand the president will ring the closing bell to close trade on the New York Stock Exchange at around 10 p.m. South African time. The bourse closes at 4 p.m. local time, 6-hour difference, 10 p.m. South African time. And I can also tell you, Bonga, we haven't talked about this, the president mentioning in his remarks earlier that we took live that he has a planned meeting with the leadership of Tesla. I immediately texted Vincent Magwenya, who was sitting in the room, his spokesperson, to say, excuse me, who is he meeting? Is it Elon Musk? They would not confirm it on the record, but my grand suspicion, Bongiwe, is that the president will likely have a meeting with Elon Musk, the founder and owner of Tesla, talking about automation and the renewable transition. Electric cars are central to that as well. You saw what he invited a car company in China to do the same. So he will likely be engaging with Elon Musk. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow. We haven't got confirmation. We are told they are working out the logistics, but certainly an interesting meeting given who Elon Musk is and his history with South Africa.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall, Sherwin, to be a fly on the wall. Thank you so much for your time. And certainly a lot of people looking to see if we'll get to hear about that particular meeting, should it happen. And that's my colleague there, SABC News correspondent in New York, Shaun Rice-Peace.